end of May, and let's have a look at what all has changed in the past couple of weeks. These are shallots. They are growing nicely, need a bit of weeding. What I like about shallots is that when you plant one bulb, you get many from that one bulb. The bulb splits. So for example, in this one I think there are around 6 of them, and in this one there are 7. So you get many from one bulb. This is the gooseberry bush. Not many gooseberries this year, 1 or 2 here and there. One on that bush and 2 on this bush. Very few berries on the gooseberry bush this time. The currant, on the other hand, is doing really well. It's covered in berries, and I can't wait for them to ripen up. Just fingers crossed the birds don't get them. The rhubarbs, one is really well growing and the other is struggling. This is the carrot bed. Patchy growth. Wherever there aren't any more carrots, I have re-sown some more seeds. So let's see if it will come up. The covering needed to be taken away because it was all damaged by the strong winds. This is the beetroot bed. I have some which are growing really well and some which are just germinating. As you can see, there are loads of smaller ones coming up. Maybe because I sowed these seeds quite some while ago in March, they didn't germinate as quick as needed. These are pig's weed or fat hen. It's a wheat in UK, but we like it as a spinach replacement or spinach alternative. It's got a very nice flavor. This is radish French breakfast, coming up very nicely. These are Swiss chard bushes which have gone into seed. There are many around in the allotment. They'll all be lifted, and in these places I would plant my honeyberry, aronica and goji berries. This is the pea bed. Wherever there is no netting, the pigeons have had a good feast. This one is completely eaten. And where there is a net, the pigeons have left them alone and they've gone really nicely healthy. You can see that the leaves are really well formed and the tentacles are also very healthy. These are the French dwarf beans, the purple, yellow and the green variety. They did take a big hit from the polar blast in early May, and then followed by the strong winds, but now they are coming up. I have sown some cylindrica beetroots in this line. There is a seed. I did sow some at home, but they were becoming leggy, so I did transplant them into the soil, so they are interplanted all around. This is a courgette plant. Again, it's coming back from the damage. Loads of pig's weed around. I pull out many, but I keep the big ones so that I can harvest them together to form one meal. This is the bolotti bean cage. They also took a great beating from the strong winds, but they are coming back. On the other hand, the runner beans, they have grown quite strong. These are the early sown ones, so I sowed them at the end of March, and they are growing. They did have some polar blast damage. There is a flower on this. I'm just hoping I'll get a good harvest irrespective of the damage that it got. This is amaranth leaves or amaranth plants. They have got a very nice flavor. The leaves have got very nice flavor. This is another courgette plant. I'm doing an experiment with soybeans. I've sown one line of soybeans in that area just to see how it will fare. So these are the tomatoes that I planted recently. I have no idea what the variety is. Was given by my neighbor in the allotment. I've planted it with some marigolds so that they are quite helpful. Last year, oh, my kids are having a seesaw activity. They're enjoying having in the allotment. Last year I had given only one cane as a support for each tomato, so this time I'm trying something new by doing some connective canes as well. This is the sunrise yellow tomato. Again, these will be tied into much better supports. As the yellow marigold, these are the orange marigold. This is sage, I think. It's starting to flower. The sage and the marigold should keep the tomatoes from various bugs and diseases and aphids and so on. Both the beds will be interplanted with parsley and pak choi. This is a bed that we will be using for purple sprouting broccoli, so it hasn't finished. This is a watermelon plant. I've never grown one. Was given by the same neighbor. He gave gherkins as well, which I'll be planting in the allotment. The watermelon plant will go in my home greenhouse. This is cherry tiny tomatoes in grow bag. They will also get marigolds planted in between them. More purple sprouting broccoli and tiny toms to be planted. These are butternut squash. So I have used cage of stair gates to form so that they could climb from one side and go to the other. This is patty pan. Again, I think it's a piece of a baby cot that I've given it as a support so it can climb up. These are late sown runner beans. So I did sow these beginning of May so I can get successive harvest. Some lettuce, they need to be planted in that line, and let's see, this is more strawberries. Loads of strawberries have already been plucked on a day-to-day basis. I haven't plucked today, so you can see there are many ripe ones around. It's a race against slugs, so if I don't pick them fast enough, the slugs will eat them. A lot more Swiss chard that needs to be lifted. This bed is being worked in. It's a very difficult bed to work, but it will be tomatoes. This is the brassica bed. So I planted it with purple kale, Cavolo Nero, and the pigeons had a feast, so I covered it. Now I covered it with the green mesh. So there's the kale, the purple kale. Loads of pigweed and spinach have self-sown here, so I've just left them so that I can harvest it. More kale, if you can spot them. These are the Cavolo Nero that the pigeons ate before I covered them. And this is the Brussels sprouts, so they are untouched actually because we put them in after the net was put in. This is coriander. So there's loads of self-sown seed plants in here. I am not very rigid about what grows where, so if there are some self-sown ones, I just leave them. I'm having my doubts on parsnips now because I can only see one or two that have been germinated. Since these were the seed tapes, they had very few seeds in it, so next year I will sow them late and I will also use loose seeds instead of the seed tape. These are the potatoes, very nicely coming up. I've sown some cosmos on the side of it. This is coriander, very slow growing, but they're coming. Calendula and fenugreek leaves. They are, I think, ready to be cut so that we can eat them. The raspberry bush, no fruit so far. I can't see any fruit so far. French lavender, English lavender, they are smelling very nicely, very nicely. More blueberries in the tire. It's the first time I'm growing blueberries. I'm very chuffed. More potatoes in sacks. Loads of potatoes for us this year. These are the yellow sunrise tomatoes that need to be planted, and some scabious.
Hello, Chubu. Ever boy? Chubu, yes, Chubu. No flowers today?
Yes.
Wow, beautiful, Chubu.
And 2 has 1%.
Yay! Beautiful flower.
No.
Okay.
This is the turnip bed. It's got a very bad flea beetle hit, purple top turnips, and then this is the golden turnip, and right next to it is the coriander. There are 2 lines of golden turnip and coriander in the center. That's this is the spinach bed. Loads of spinach. I have to pick them now. There is perpetual spinach in it and some other variety. This is the kids bed. So this is a single head sunflower, beans, some more beans, cosmos, and these are the peas that my son sown some days ago, and a multi-head sunflower as well. This is the mixed Swiss chard. It's also growing really well. I'm not ready to pick them at this stage. I like them a little bit bigger. The mint bed, I have to cut them. Thank you for watching. See you soon with another video.